NFL draft season is heating up, and we will have you covered with more on the NFL draft right here on the channel. So if you want free videos all off-season, draft season long, hit that sub button for free right now, youtube.com/chatNFL. Hit that big red button. On today's show, we are breaking down the newest 2026 NFL mock draft from ESPN, which, as a lot of the mock drafts are doing right now, features a trade because quarterbacks normally go number one, but the Giants are not going to take a QB with that first pick. A different New York team might, though. This is the trade details as proposed by ESPN's Field Yates, who did this mock draft. Giants get a 2026 first at number 7, number 18, and a vague day 2 pick. Yeah, I don't exactly know what that day 2 pick is, but so be it. Jets get the number 1 overall selection. They move up to select Fernando Mendoza. We'll come back to Mendoza more in depth here in a second. I do question if this Jets team, however, is in a position to justify taking and trading up for a quarterback with the sheer volume of roster concerns that they have. You look around all the different mock drafts right now in the NFL, including the latest ESPN mock draft. Pretty much all of them have Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall. The Cal transfer to Indiana, who has been fantastic for the Hoosiers, is going to win the Heisman Trophy, has Indiana undefeated with the number 1 overall seed in the college football playoff. I am excited to see how he fares in the CFP, but with uncertainty about if the other quarterbacks are going to go pro, even though it's only mid-December, it certainly feels like the Indiana product, Mendoza, is trending towards being the clear pick at number 1 overall, depending on who has that selection. Number 2, another quarterback here, Dante Moore, out of Oregon. I don't know if Moore is going to go pro. Again, what's nice this year for us is Oregon is in the college football playoff. We're going to see them play at least the one game. I am excited to see how he fares. There's been some good moments from Dante Moore. He's still young, kind of inexperienced, but if the Raiders have the number 2 pick and Dante Moore does turn pro, like, they are so desperate, I think, for stability at quarterback that I could see them taking the young, talented player and, doing a reset and allowing him to work his way through the ups and downs. Who will be the first quarterback drafted this year? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. It certainly seems like Mendoza, but you still have the entire CFP to play out. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Arvell Reese listed as a linebacker/edge by Field Yates. I will say, the last month-ish has not been as good for Arvell Reese. The pressure stuff is way down. He has not been nearly as impactful. Meanwhile, Caden Curry's playing out of his mind. Sonny Styles can just play at a very high level as well. I still like a lot of what Arvell Reese brings, but the last month has me trending him back closer to the Jalen Walker conversation than the Micah Parsons conversation. Carnell Tate, the Ohio State wide receiver, goes to the Browns. I'm sure Browns fans will love to get a Buckeye player. I feel like Browns fans always want those. They don't get as much of them. It's a little weird, this class. The top-end talent isn't as loaded as maybe it has been in some years. Tate would be a great help, though, for whoever the Browns quarterback is. Maybe it is Shedeur in the end. Number 5, Francis Mauigoa. I'll be honest, I don't get this pick. They have spent back-to-back first-round picks in back-to-back years. I get that, Dylan Radins isn't the best guard necessarily, and there's been some injuries at the guard spot, but taking another offensive lineman is weird. Field had suggested Fuaga moves from right tackle to right guard. So we're still drafting a guard in the first round, essentially. I frankly don't love that idea. The Commanders at number 6 take David Bailey, the edge out of Texas Tech. How about this is the first pure edge off the board? Edge is a huge need for the Commanders. Bailey at 6 is interesting. I don't know if he's going to be a good enough run stopper, but as a pass rush production guy, there's not many that's outplayed him so far this year. Number 7 is Jordyn Tyson, the Giants wide receiver. Talent is undeniable. This is, again, part of the Giants trade down with the Jets, by the way. If he stays healthy, the hamstring's been an issue. He's missed time over the course of his career. This is a great pairing alongside Malik Neighbors for Jackson Dart. Spencer Fano, who would just plug right in at the right tackle spot. And you move on from Jonah Williams. He's been super banged up, by the way, going to be a free agent. And getting the offensive help makes some sense amid large quarterback uncertainty. The Rams get the best player in the class. The Rams, by the way, got to be on cloud 9, having traded acquiring the Falcons' first-round pick, which feels like it's going to be a top 10 selection when it's all said and done. No safeties drafted in the top 10 since Jamal Adams went number 6 to the Jets all the way back in 2017. I think Caleb Downs is worth it, though. Who do you think is the best player in the 2026 NFL draft? Several different players you can argue for. Not who's going to go number 1, but just the best player. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Rueben Bain, the edge out of Miami. Why did I get it? Like, Hendrickson doesn't seem like to be back with the surgery now. Joseph Asai is also a free agent. I've seen some better stuff from Myles Murphy as of late. Are they out on Shamar Stewart? That's 3 first-rounders at edge in a very short period of time, all on rookie contracts. He could also, though, reduce inside some. Like, his arm length and some of the size could profile better as a 3 technique. So I think you would be able to play Bain and Shamar Stewart and Myles Murphy all together. Minnesota gets one of my favorite corners, Mansour Delane. He's not the biggest. He's not the fastest. He's not the longest. But he's just good at football. And he did it against high-level competition. Don't overthink that one. Keldrick Falk, the edge out of Auburn, which I do find interesting. Bradley Chubb is going to be 30. They just spent a first-round pick on Chop Robinson. Another guy who can also like kick inside on some third down stuff and do some, not quite full-on NASCAR stuff, but get a little bit close to it. The production is not great. This is a little bit like the Mykal Williams conversation. I was hoping at some point he was going to break out. It didn't happen this year. Number 13, Baltimore takes Peter Woods. I do worry about Nnamdi Madubuike's career. There has been some buzz that he's actually hasn't announced it, but he's going to retire in the end. Travis Jones is a free agent, adding a big boy on the interior. Good one in Peter Woods, who wasn't as good as I hoped he was going to be, but still does make sense. Jeremiah Love, number 14 here, to the Chiefs. That's fun, isn't it? He's actually good, unlike how maybe we didn't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be quite as good. Man, I've just taken Jonathan Taylor that year. Anyway, Jeremiah Love is a 3-down player. He's awesome. You can make the argument he is the best player in this class. Despite being a back, he's the most explosive playmaker as far as I'm concerned. That's a good fit for the Chiefs. We'll do these next two together. The Cowboys take Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State. Carolina takes linebacker out of Georgia, C.J. Allen. Both these teams need a linebacker. I might prefer C.J. Allen over Sonny Styles. I think the instincts are a little bit better, but that's not a dig on Sonny Styles at all. This is your flavor of ice cream. Do you prefer vanilla or do you prefer chocolate chip? Or cookie dough if you want to get weird with it. Maybe that's Arvell Reese. They're both awesome, awesome football players. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is PrizePicks. PrizePicks now offers early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you might have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. One of our PrizePicks lineups, you can do the power play or the flex play here. The flex play means if you go 2 out of 3, you still cash out. Lower payout, though, obviously. Drake May more than passing yards. 247.5 seems really low. Shedeur at 173.5 against the Bears' bad defense in terms of yards allowed to the air. That's a no-brainer for me. And Jamar Chase, who might get some double coverage stuff with T. Higgins and concussion protocol, less than 84.5 receiving yards. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's go to Caleb Lome, who I don't know if he's going to turn pro. I actually don't know if he's a great Dan Campbell fit. He needs to be stronger. That's not Dan Campbell's way. This would be your long-term Taylor Decker replacement. Avion Terrell, this is just classic Jets, isn't it? Of, hey, they missed on Deonte Banks. New first rounder to replace Deonte Banks, right? I think Terrell's a really good corner, though. He's undersized, but he doesn't play undersized, and I'm a sucker for those types of players. Number 19, Kenyon Sadiq out of Tampa Bay, who K-Dot's a free agent. Kind of intriguing of you would, in theory, eventually move on from some combination of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You're going to have Jalen McMillan potentially, Emeka Ibuka, Bucky Irving, Kenyon Sadiq if they lose Cade Otton in free agency. Plus the linebackers are off the board, so I actually don't hate that pick as much as I thought I might originally for Tampa. Pittsburgh adds another receiver, a very different play style guy, Makai Lemon, who I think is going to be a really fun, entertaining player. Look, just get ready for the Amon-Ra St. Brown comparisons. Undersized, gets open, makes plays, went to USC. Eagles at 21 take Jermod McCoy. This is your outside cornerback option to pair with Quinyon Mitchell. They got a steal in Jahad Campbell in last year's class because of medical concerns. Could do the same with Jermod McCoy and his ACL tear suffered last January. Houston at 22 takes Amari Washington, another run-stopping defensive lineman here. A couple of those guys that fit this like late end of round one mold. Sheldon Rankin's going to be a free agent. Mario Edwards aging. Why not keep making the defense, a strength, adding on to it? Love this pick for the Bears. Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Get another pass rusher to pair opposite Montez Sweat. The arm length is going to be a real concern for teams, but didn't matter in the SEC. He was dominant. They go Oawe out of Penn State, a guard. I love this one. They have to protect Justin Herbert. Plug-and-play option along the interior where the Chargers need help. Seen a lot of Denzel Boston to the Bills mock draft picks, and I get it. Look, he can do inside, can do outside stuff, is like the big slot type of player. I think, pairing him with Khalil Shakir as a slot guy, and then, maybe you figure out what you have with Keon Coleman moving forward. I think Denzel Boston's a good fit for him. Name a round one sleeper for me. Guy that you haven't seen a lot of buzz going in the first round, but you think has a chance. There's always several players who emerge. Sometimes we're just late into I remember Armand Membu was not on people's radar because we weren't watching a ton of in-depth Missouri offensive line games. We were watching Luther Burden, and then we watched more Burden. Who's this tackle? Who's this tackle? And then he ends up being a top 10 pick. He's been great for the Jets too. Someone in that mold. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Caleb Banks to the 49ers here. I don't get it. I get that they want more disruptors on defense, and that's what Field had pitched. They just spent almost day two picks. Second rounder on Alfred Collins and a fourth rounder on CJ West. How about an edge? How about that's what you go address instead? Now, there aren't very many edges left, but I think another interior guy, as fun as Caleb Banks is, and will remind Niners fans of hopefully Eric Armstead and not Javon Kinlaw, they have that type before. The Browns take Caden Proctor here to protect in theory, I guess, Shadur at this point, quarterback starter. He's inconsistent. I don't know if he's going to... He worries me because he should be a dominant run blocker, and he's not. And I get some Evan Neal vibes out of Caden Proctor, and he's not also the fleetest of foot, and I wonder if guard is going to be his best spot in the NFL. Damon Wilson, the edge out of Missouri. I still kind of wonder if Zion Young is actually the better Missouri edge rusher. But Wilson does offer really good athletic ability and juice on that front. He did have more tackles, 9 sacks against 6.5 for Zion Young. Zion Young offers a lot more as a run stopper. He had 15 TFLs, scored a 9.5 there. But the juice is really good, and I think could be a decent fit opposite Donovan Ezeraku. Number 29, Brandon Cisse. This is another outside corner option. One of the big risers this year. In fact, both Brandon Cisse and Colton Hood, the Tennessee corner who goes here to the Patriots, have seen their stock rise this year. No Jamal McCoy for Tennessee. Colton Hood has stepped up. I don't know if another corner is actually what makes the most sense for New England. They have Christian Gonzalez. Marcus Jones is a dog. They did pay Carlton Davis. I know injuries have been a concern, but you're going to pay and bench Davis? I don't know about that one. Here's a fun pick. The Rams take Ty Simpson at 31 overall. If they could bring back Matthew Stafford for a year or two, Ty developing behind Matthew Stafford actually could be super fun. I also don't know if Ty is going to go pro. I would not be surprised if we saw some type of little, go back to school, whether that's Bama, hit the transfer portal like Carson Beck did. I think all options are open for Ty Simpson, depending on how this college football playoff plays out. Number 32, the Denver Broncos. This is a fun pick. How about Chris Bell? Add another outside vertical threat. He's 6'2", 220-ish, and runs a 4.4. teams are going to fall in love with that height, weight, speed combination. They do it every year. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes the big, strong, fast guy is just the best football player. Highly productive this year for Louisville as well. There's some really high-level plays. Didn't quite get to 1,000 yards this season, but he's gotten better each year for the Cardinals. We'll mention some players who got left out, but grade this ESPN mock draft for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Some other notable NFL draft prospects not included. Casey Concepcion, if you want a gadgety guy, is super fun. I think Cade McDonald is a better run stopper than Amari Washington. TJ Parker, not included in this mock draft. Been a bit of a fall for him, but he has turned pro. I still think he goes round 1. We'll see how the testing is. Zion Young out of Missouri and Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina. If I were him, I would take the nice big fat NIL check. I'd go transfer somewhere else and try to boost my draft stock. But you saw it with Anthony Richardson. The toolsy guy who didn't take a step forward, they go in round 1, especially in a shaky quarterback class. I think there's, kind of like with Ty Simpson, all options on the table right now for Lenore Sellers.